Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're taking something you've probably eaten 100 times, the universally beloved New York pizza slice, and we're putting it under a precise, slightly clinical lens of structural physics and chemistry. If you thought pizza was just dough and cheese, well, prepare to have your mind blown by the absolute engineering marvel sitting inside that cardboard box.
Here's our agenda for today. We'll start with the evolution of the slice, then move right into the carbohydrate matrix, the moisture barrier, mechanical tension and folding, and finally, we'll be debunking the water fallacy.
All right, Section 1, Evolution of the Slice, or as I like to call it, Protocol Alpha.
You know, the New York slice was actually born out of pure adaptation and necessity. Back in 1905, Gennaro Lombardi opened the very first licensed pizzeria in America, right in Manhattan's Little Italy. By the 1920s, Italian immigrants were actively adapting their traditional Neapolitan recipes simply because they had to make do with American ingredients. And then, right around 1950, a massive infrastructure change hit the scene. Pizzerias went through a fundamental shift away from the traditional wood-fired ovens that originally defined pizza back in Naples.
So what does this all mean? Well, a massive thermodynamic shift happened when these early pizza engineers moved from those blazing hot wood fires down to slightly cooler coal and gas tech ovens. They literally had to fundamentally alter their dough formulation. You see, when you drop the temperature, you have to increase the bake time. And if you bake a traditional Neapolitan dough for that long, yeah, it totally dries out and turns into a giant cracker. So they had to draw up entirely new blueprints just to survive this new environment.
Moving right along, Section 2, the carbohydrate matrix, Protocol Beta.
18. That is the diameter, in inches, of your classic New York pie. This massive 18-inch requirement is exactly why a standard artisanal dough would instantly fail. Think about it. If you try to stretch a delicate, traditional dough across a massive 18-inch span, it's going to tear right under its own weight. To fix this, you absolutely need high-protein flour. It acts literally like steel rebar hidden inside the concrete of the pizza crust.
So to build that sturdy base, you need a very precise 62% hydration level. This perfectly balances that chewiness with crispness, making sure it doesn't turn to mush under heavy toppings. Then, we add 2% salt to tighten up the gluten, and 1.5% olive oil to coat the starch granules. Actually, that olive oil is absolutely brilliant. It provides extensibility. That just means the dough stretches beautifully without snapping, which completely prevents the crust from becoming brittle.
And then there's that final, crucial ingredient, sugar. Because those modern gas deck ovens only reach about 500 to 550 degrees Fahrenheit, that tiny 1% of sugar acts as a mandatory catalyst. Without that sugar artificially kickstarting the Maillard-Browning reaction in a cooler oven, your pizza would look incredibly pale and, well, entirely unappetizing. It's literally chemistry compensating for thermodynamics.
Okay, Section 3, the moisture barrier, Protocol Gamma. Now, fresh, wet mozzarella is absolutely delicious. But if you subject that wet Neapolitan-style cheese to a rigorous 10 to 12-minute New York bake time, you will completely dissolve your carbohydrate base into a soggy paste. It just dumps all its water straight into the dough, which is exactly why aged, low-moisture, whole-milk mozzarella is strictly mandated for this style. It's an absolute structural necessity.
During that long bake, this low-moisture cheese undergoes a beautiful phase change. It forms an impenetrable hydrophobic shield that protects the integrity of our dough. The cheese effectively acts like a waterproof tarp, keeping the wet tomato sauce safely trapped below, all while allowing the top of the pie to bubble and blister without completely ruining the foundational carbohydrate matrix underneath.
And here's a really fun biological side effect. The dense sodium profile in that aged cheese and sauce aggressively stimulates your thirst reflex. You know that intense craving for a cold drink right after you finish a slice? Yep, that's just your biology reacting perfectly to this engineered moisture barrier, brilliantly helping you hit that strict 100 fluid ounce daily hydration baseline.
Next up, Section 4, Mechanical Tension and Folding, Protocol Delta.
Because this is a portable food specifically engineered for a busy city, it essentially comes with a physical manual. To consume this massive slice on the go, you have to perform a few precise physical steps, folding it lengthwise to actually manipulate its physics. You grasp it by the outer edge, fold it lengthwise, right down the center, and only then do attempt to consume this structurally sound portable unit.
By creating this structural U-channel, you give the slice instant mechanical tension. This completely prevents a catastrophic dumping of your delicious, greasy lipid payload right onto the sidewalk. You are taking a flat, flexible plane and introducing a rigid geometric fold, literally turning a floppy carbohydrate triangle into a sturdy, load-bearing beam. It's a true act of engineering that you execute with just one hand.
Finally, Section 5, Debunking the Water Fallacy, the Red Team Report.
For decades, people have claimed that local calcium and magnesium levels are the magic elements here, which leads us to ask this very important question. Is the secret ingredient to New York pizza truly the specific mineral content of New York City tap water? It's easily the most pervasive legend in the entire culinary world.
But the simple, emphatic answer to that question is no. The whole water claim is largely just a romanticized marketing tool. Sure, it sounds incredibly charming, but from a purely scientific standpoint, it holds virtually zero weight in the final architecture of the pie.
The reality is, exact replication of the New York crust in literally any city is entirely achievable if you strictly control a few specific engineering variables rather than relying on tap water. Blind tests have actually proven that water chemistry has only a microscopic effect on yeast activity. What really matters is the precise control of baker's percentages, exact flour protein management, and proper oven thermodynamics. You master the math and physics, and you master the slice, no matter where you live.
However, before we completely close the book on this blueprint, we have to acknowledge a major design bias. The moment you add heavy toppings like sausage or thick vegetables to a slice, you compromise its structural integrity, completely rendering that iconic fold impossible without structural collapse. All of those rigid U-channel mechanics we just discussed are specifically biased toward the plain cheese slice. The second you overload the surface, well, the physics completely break down.
So, as you think about everything we've deconstructed in this explainer today, I want to leave you with a final thought to ponder the next time you order a slice. If the ultimate architectural integrity of the New York slice relies on a plain cheese foundation, are heavy toppings an engineering failure or simply a completely different architectural blueprint? It is definitely something to chew on as you marvel at the physics in your hands. Thanks for joining me for this structural breakdown, and stay curious.